ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Welcome in to another edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. I'm here at the Cam Henderson Center. There's going to be an introductory press conference for Marshall's new women's basketball coach, Kim Stevens. She is making her way as we speak to the crowd that has gathered to greet her. In a moment, we're going to go live to that presser. Grant Traylor, the Director of Communications at Marshall University, is going to be taking the stage here momentarily. So we're going to go to that here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to a banner day here at Marshall University where we welcome the 8th head coach in Marshall women's basketball history, and Cam Stevens. Today, we will hear from those who have established our path to success in President Brad Smith and Director of Athletics Christian Spears before we turn things over to Coach Stevens. Following Coach Stevens' introduction, we will have a short Q&A with media members before we close the press conference and break away for a media session, which will be located in the corner near the women's locker room. As I started today of what to say to introduce our first speaker here today, I leaned on words that I'd heard from him before. When I first got to interact with President Smith, he used the phrase transformational change agent, a phrase that he used when introducing Mr. Spears. Those words proved prophetic as that they have teamed to take Marshall to unparalleled success over the last 13 months. I won't keep you long, but I do want to touch on some of those. At Marshall University, and being a Huntingtonian, we've waited a long time to see some of the progress that we've seen in just the last 13 months. That includes the construction of a baseball facility, the hiring of Coach Beals, the best 30-game start in Marshall softball history, the most regular season wins in Marshall men's basketball in 76 years, and of course, today's hire of Miss Kim Stevens. Last week, I got the privilege to join President Smith for the Marshall for All, Marshall Forever tour, and I listened to him explain great things can be achieved both from the state of West Virginia and from Marshall University. Today is a great indicator of that fact as we welcome Kim Stevens here. I'm honored to introduce the leader of that movement in making West Virginia great, making Marshall great, and proving that we can do anything nationally. Ladies and gentlemen, President Brad D. Smith.
Thank you, Grant. Welcome, Herd Nation, to another amazing milestone moment in Marshall athletics history. Before I bring up your amazing athletic director, Christian Spears, to the podium, I want to spend a few minutes and set the stage for this afternoon's announcement. And I'm going to touch on 3 themes: legacy, legends, and limitless possibilities. A little over a year ago, we challenged ourselves at Marshall University to dream bigger, to deliver faster, and to define excellence. I've always believed if your dreams can be achieved alone, you're not dreaming big enough. Marshall University has always understood that, which is why our rally cry is "We are Marshall." Today's announcement is a testament that our university is rising to that challenge and once again is dreaming bigger, delivering faster, and seeking to define excellence. Marshall Athletics has a storied legacy. 16 teams, more than 450 student athletes who play for a cause greater than themselves, who represent a university that is big enough to matter and small enough to care. Marshall Athletics is the heartbeat of our campus, our community, and our region. We have suffered our share of losses. We've endured the tragedy of a plane crash, but we've risen from those ashes to go on to win glorious bowl games, national championships, and build an international brand. Marshall Athletics reminds us that we are West Virginians, and we are dreamers, we are doers. We are made of grit, we are made of grace, we celebrate inspiration, we celebrate perspiration, and every time our student athletes take the field, the court, the pitch, the pool, any competitive arena that they step into. We all grow a few inches taller, and our chests fill out with pride because we're reminded of who we are and what is possible. That is why choosing who leads our programs is one of the most important decisions you can make. And a year ago, I had the chance to make one of the best decisions of my professional career when we invited Christian Spears to be our next athletic director. In one short year, he has completely transformed Marshall athletics and has reignited in all of Herd Nation the possibilities and the energy that we will once again be at the top of every chart in every sport that we compete in. And I will tell you, today is another example of him taking us to an entirely new level. Kim Stevens comes from legacy. Kim Stevens comes from legends. Kim Stevens comes with limitless possibilities. She comes from Glenville State University, a proud university with a great legacy, led by an amazing man, President Mark Manchin. He's a dear friend of mine, and I called President Manchin on Friday evening to talk about Kim's decision. And he reminded me of all the amazing talent that has come through Glenville State University. Rich Rodriguez, Joe Mazzullo. He even told me Magic Mike, Channing Tatum, dancing somewhere on a big screen, came from Glenville State University. But none stand taller than Coach Kim Stevens. Coach Kim Stevens led the Glenville State Pioneers to a Division I AA National Championship last year and took them to the quarterfinals again this year. The brand of play that she and her teams brings every single time they take the court gets everyone fired up to watch the game and to cheer. Kim Stevens is a legend at Glenville State University, both as a coach and as a player. But Kim Stevens also comes from a legendary family. The stories are all over about her mother, Linda, and her grandma, Betty, and their support of the women's programs. Her sisters, Ann and Jill, who've built their own amazing careers in women's basketball. And of course, her legendary father, Coach Scott Stevens, who led high school teams to state championships and coached alongside his daughter at Glenville State University. Marshall athletics are personal for all of us. We refer to ourselves as family. We are sons, we are daughters, we are children of Marshall. But I'm also reminded of the adage that a friend is the family you get to choose. Today, Marshall University is proud to choose Coach Kim Stevens, and we are humbled that Coach Kim Stevens has chosen us. And I stand here today full of confidence that Coach Scott Stevens is sitting next to the 75 in heaven and smiling at this magical moment. With that, I want to welcome you, Kim Stevens, to the Marshall family, and all the Stevens family to the Marshall family. And I want to welcome up your athletic director, Christian Spears. Go Herd.
You know, who isn't inspired by Brad Smith? You know, I ask people, can I please follow Brad? Because he just sets such an amazing tone. Most people are like, please don't let me follow Brad. I actually want to follow Brad because of what he brings to the group, how inspiring he is for us all. We are so fortunate to have the leadership that we have here at Marshall. Brad Smith is one of the most extraordinary individuals. And it played a lot into our conversation that Kim and I had. You know, so how do you do this process? How does it all come together? How do you choose your next head coach for women's basketball? You know, conversations with your president, right? And you make a plan and you decide who we're going to go get. And you get his commitment and his support. And then you just feel emboldened and empowered to go and try to make it happen. You listen to every single person who pays attention to social media because everyone had Kim chosen before we even picked her, right? The second the job opened, I think I received about 100 text, emails, phone calls telling me what a no-brainer it was to hire Kim Stevens, right? And I hope you're paying attention, Herd AD, to the fact that just up the road, we're winning national titles under Kim Stevens' leadership. You know, for me, the process always begins with 4 simple things, right? Does the person have a connection to our place? And our place doesn't need to be Marshall. It could be West Virginia. It could be this region. It could be this community. It could be a connection that exists within her family and her structure. Kim Stevens' family knows West Virginia. West Virginia knows the Stevens family. And they fit perfectly at Marshall. That connection is here, and it's real. Connection to people. There are so many people across this state that know the Stevens name. When Kim and I interviewed, I asked her why she coached, and the first thing she said to me was because of her dad. And that, she had me there. You know, when she told me why it was so important to her to be a head coach and why she poured into student athletes is because of her dad and what he meant to her, I was done. I wanted to hire her right there on the spot. Those of you who were at that dinner, you know, that was it. She was going to be the next coach at Marshall. And then when you talk about her passion and her purpose, which are the other two, it becomes obvious and evident in everything that she does, that she brings enormous passion to it. And it oozes and exudes from her, and you know she's pulling everything out of her student athletes that she can. But she doesn't ever forget what her purpose is, right? To help a young person reach their full potential. And she develops a relationship with her student athletes that you know is sincere. You just know it. That's a big part of the process. When we go a little even deeper, we start to think about what we're looking for in this next head coach, in this specific program, our women's basketball program, and what it means to this community and this university. And we talked a lot, I met with the team, and we talked a lot about the traits and the qualities that we wanted in our next head coach. And we talked a lot about what it's going to take to bring this program to the next level. And it's going to take a sincere relationship with all of our student athletes. It's going to take respect for the game and an understanding of why we're doing what we're doing on our way to win a championship, have a championship experience. It's going to take a high-intensity person who has the intellect to call plays and make decisions on the fly, on the spot, that help you win games. It's going to take a system and a structure and a style that'll be embraced by this community that people will rally around, because it's going to take every single one of us to be a part of this program, to take it where we want it to go, to achieve the excellence that we want it to have. And Kim Stevens has that. She can do all those things. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to announce the 8th head coach in the history of our women's basketball program, Kim Stevens.
Guys, thank you so much for coming. I hate to break it to you, I'm significantly better on the court than behind a podium, so I'm going to keep this really short. I'm incredibly honored to be a part of the Thundering Herd family. This has been a dream of mine for a really long time. It's also been a dream of my dad, so I do know that he's ecstatic right now. I met with the team this morning, and I think we're all just really excited to get to work to chase our first Sun Belt championship. And I'm just really hopeful that we can do something special here, that we can make you guys proud, and we can give God glory in the process. Today, my face has been plastered all over everything, and it's not really my style, but I really want my team to stand up, because it's not about me, it's about you guys. Would you guys stand up and everyone give them a round of applause? So I'm excited to get to work. I'm excited for everything that I've seen today, how nice everyone's been. So I'm just really happy to be here, and I'm happy to be able to be their next head coach.
Hey, before we give the ceremonial jersey, a couple of shout outs and thank yous. I want to thank Tyler Bullington from our community for helping us with this search. Justin Caldwell, fiance, who joined us on our secret dinner when we decided that we were going to try to make this all come together. Gary White, a member of our Champions Advisory Board, who helped advise me throughout the process. I just wanted to be mindful of and very thankful to. And without further ado, will you join me, President Smith? Come on down to the floor. Yeah, down.
So what is happening right now is they're presenting Kim Stevens with the ceremonial jersey, and I know we go back to the days of the green jacket, but I think those days are done. Grant Traylor is going to be making his way back, the Director of Communications here at Marshall University, for closing remarks, and we'll get those here in a moment.
All right, really quick, we're going to bring Coach Stevens back up for a quick 5 to 6 question media Q&A. So if you have a question, raise your hand. David O'Leary, David, raise your hand. He's right there. You can get the mic, and we'll hear from Coach Stevens.
Hi, Coach.
Yeah, I think it was always a dream. I had a really good job and I had a really good situation, and I love Glenville, and it broke my heart to leave there. But I think what's happening at Marshall is something worth chasing. And I've watched the girls, I've watched them on ESPN Plus. I've been able to kind of follow their journey along, and I know that the talent is there. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity, just to be able to see what I can do in the Sun Belt.
Hi, Coach Ken Stevens, sports writer Tim Stevens with the Herald Dispatch. Nice to meet you. What's your recruiting style? JUCO, transfers, freshman, combination of those things?
It's a combination. It will probably change a little bit going to the Division I level, but we'd just like to get the next best available.
Coach Justin Zimmer, WMUL, welcome to Huntington. Congratulations. Coach, your name has been for numerous jobs over the past 2 years. Why Marshall? Why now for you to make the leap to D1?
I think that this is a place that you can win. And I'm not going to take a job where I don't think that you can win. I don't think there's support there for you to win. I don't think that there's talent on the roster to win. And so I think that Marshall is a perfect combination of all of those things. And it's also still in my home state of West Virginia. And so I love West Virginia fans. I think that they are phenomenal. They're loyal. They hate all referees at all times. So it's great. And so, I've worked really hard. My dad has worked really hard to make Stevens a name in the sport of basketball in this state. And I just wanted to be able to stay here and continue to make people proud.
Coach Stevens, Keith Morehouse, WSAZ, welcome. A lot of us have watched what you've done at Glenville and watched the pace at which you play. Will that translate to the Division I level? Because that sure is a fun style to watch. I'm sure that's what you like. Yeah,
we're going to see what we can do. I think good coaches adapt to who they have, and we obviously want to play fast. We always want to play aggressive, but I'm going to see what they can do, and I'm going to see how far we can push it and try to put a lot of points on the board.
Luke Creasy with HD Media as well. Coach, you've talked about how you've waited for this opportunity. How much does it mean to you that opportunity keeps you in the state of West Virginia where you've been all your life?
It's really important to me. The longer you're in West Virginia, the more you come to love it, the more faithful you are to the people that are here. And again, I think that there's a hotbed for success for women's basketball in the state of West Virginia. We have the best fans, I think, in the country. And so it's definitely something I wanted to be a part of. I don't want to coach, and I don't want my athletes to coach in front of empty arenas, right? We want to pack. We want it to be loud. We want it to be an environment where people hate to come and play. And so we're just going to call on everyone to come out and watch, come out and be loud, come and support us, because I think we can make this facility a really nice environment.
And it's going to break out to a media session that we're not going to be able to stream. So the stream portion is about over. Grant Traylor is going to take the podium one more time, so we'll get his comments, and then we'll, better yet, I think he's just telling people that, the presser is over. So just to reset, my name is Paul Swann. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm above the floor here at the Cam Henderson Center. The introductory press conference has just concluded for Marshall University's new women's basketball coach, Kim Stevens. She has taken the job from Glenville State, where she has won a national championship and was in contention for a back-to-back title. She comes to Marshall University as a native of the state of West Virginia, so she has familiarity with not only the state but the program itself. If you just look at her resume, she is a winner. She is a winner through and through, and she said earlier in her presser that she was not going to take a job where she didn't think she could win. Her name has been really thrown out there for a lot of open jobs, including the one in Morgantown for West Virginia University. She made a statement in her presser that she was not going to take any job that she didn't think she could win at. So she believes she can win here at Marshall University. We're going to take this opportunity to take our first commercial break. We'll come back. We'll reset the scene here from the Cam Henderson Center. And we're going to try to see if we can bring a couple of people up to our position. If not, I was today at the Shuey Building, Marshall University spring football beginning. So we'll have comments from Coach Huff later on in the program as well. And I'm going to open up the text line for you. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. I'm here today at the Cam Henderson Center, a little higher up than I normally am. I am up in the skybox section. The presser has just concluded the introductory press conference to welcome to Marshall and the community Kim Stevens, the new head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team. There is a breakaway session going on right now for media to continue asking questions away from the formal presentation portion. We're hoping that if that concludes early, we can bring her up with us and have a few minutes of her time. If not, we'll have her on the program here in the next couple of days. But this hire made possible after Tony Kemper taking a different opportunity, Marshall's former women's basketball coach. So stayed in state and went after a championship caliber coach, the Division II level, but still a championship caliber coach coming into Huntington to lead the program into the Sun Belt in year 2. Now, we're going to get your text in. Don't forget, we will take your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is our number to be a part of the program here today on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we'll get those here in just a few minutes. And I do want to point out that we're also going to hear from Coach Huff just a little bit later on. We'll have his comments from earlier today. And we're going to have that and some of the assistant coaches' comments throughout the week. So we will be covering Marshall football all week long. Let's go to our text line. Texter writes in and says, I think if Coach Stevens gets the support and program to the level she desires, Herd fans could be looking back on this hire similar to the last Division II coach with a championship resume hired by Marshall University and Chris Grassi. That is a good point. You brought a coach in who has won at the highest level in a lower division. You bring them up, and look what happened. Chris Grassi winning that national championship for Marshall men's soccer. So the breakout session continues. We will be here until 6 o'clock from the Henderson Center, and I'm going to take your text throughout the program, so keep those coming in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll take our bottom of the hour break early. When we come back, we're going to have comments from Marshall football coach Charles Huff from earlier this afternoon. We'll also get more of your text in. Hope we'll have one or two guests joining us here in the second half of the show. Of course, again, we're a little bit higher today because of the presser being on the floor. So we're up a little high today to cover it and to be able to broadcast live. I'm your host, Paul Swann. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. High above the Cam Henderson Center, I'm your host, Paul Swann. Bill Cornwell was ground level earlier during this event. He joins us now. So, Bill, major hire today for the Thundering Herd. Different atmosphere than several years ago when the Thundering Herd hired Tony Kemper.
Yeah.
The scoreboard is down. Obviously, Coach Kemper didn't have the luxury of having a scoreboard like this as his backdrop. But, Marshall, the attitude seems to be go big or go home around here.
Exactly, and I love the fact is you and I are in the catbird seat up above the Henderson Center, and I'm looking, and Coach Stevens is down there talking to some of her staff and even some of her players. She, in her introductory remarks, she said she met with the current Marshall team, those who are still around and still have eligibility, and said that she got a great reception, and she said that she really wants to work around them and build from that. You know, there's always opportunities to add pieces, and no doubt she probably will. And but she very much wants to work, and she says that the impression she gets from the existing team is they want to work with her. You know, it will be exciting. She made the comment that she would love to be able to play this 94-foot style that she's known for, and certainly any coach would know that you got to have the personnel to do that, and she'll have to evaluate that as time goes. But overall, an exciting hire because of what this young lady, and she's still a young lady, what she has done at the Division II level. She is a star at that level, and she's got a chance to be that here at the Sun Belt and the Division I level as well.
What were some of the other questions that were being asked of her during the media scrum, which we weren't a part of?
You know, obviously the probably the biggest one was why Marshall, why leave at this time? Because, I mean, you are, and she is, you know, she was a big deal at Glenville State. I mean, basically a lot of the support for the athletic department there was built around her and was built around the success of her program. And, you know, she said, she said this was a dream job. And she said, interestingly, said that her dad, her late father, she was really, this was a dream for him that, one day that she would step out of the comfort level of being a Division II coach. Of course, he was an assistant to her at Glenville, and he has since passed on. But he was very much hoping that one day this would be her destination. Marshall was perfect, and apparently Marshall's name was mentioned between them in their conversations. And she's excited she can stay in West. She's very much of a West Virginia person, and she's very happy that she can advance her career and stay in state and utilize resources in state, maybe find players in state. And certainly there are a lot of West Virginia kids on the Marshall roster as we speak. And, I mean, so she's got a good base right there of Mountain State heritage.
Bill Cornwell is with us in just a moment as we continue to hope that we'll get the head coach to try to join us for today's show. Cassidy Wood from WOWK is coming up here, so she'll be with us in just a moment.
You got
Bill,
a cast of thousands today.
I do have a cast of thousands. Unfortunately, I don't have a headphone collection of thousands, so I'll have to have you pass the headphones over to her in a moment.
Not a problem.
But she's coming in to talk about this hire as well as Cassidy from WOWK covering a wider swath of the state. So I'll tell you what, Bill, we will let you hand those headphones over to her. We'll get her situated, and we'll talk to Cassidy from WOWK, who we always talk about how she wants to be on the show, but her schedule never allows. So finally, I just had to be at the same place you were to do the show.
I know. This is incredible, Paul. I'm stoked. Just happy to be here.
You like my position here today? I've got the skybox to do the show today.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is a really cool setup. I love it up here. And look how awesome that is. You know, I just love it.
You have to describe it. You're on radio now.
Oh, yeah, I'm on radio. Sorry, guys. They dropped the big Jumbotron, and it just has Kim Stevens' face. As she said, her face has just been plastered over everything lately. But it's so awesome, and it's just great vibes. You can see the whole team down there taking selfies right now. Everyone just seems so happy about this. And I talked to some of the girls, actually, some of the players about it, and I think they have been starving for more of a personal just connection. And having that, I think, someone who was born and raised in the state, I just think they're going to have such a connection. And especially in today's world with like the transfer portal and all this stuff, you want to keep kids here. You want to try to keep the athletes here. And I just think, she'll be able to do that.
Joining us from WOWK, Cassidy Wood. You've got a 6 o'clock. You're still doing the show from here, aren't you?
I am. See, there's my camera guy right there.
All right.
We're all set up. So at about 6:10, I'm going to run down there and do my live sport. So if you're near a TV and you can turn on Channel 13, go ahead and do that. And we'll have a whole recap, including an interview with her on that as well. But, yeah, I'm just so excited. All these players, they seem so happy. The vibes are great in Huntington.
It's a big hire. As we mentioned, someone in state coming, someone who has a desire to be here, said that she wouldn't take a job unless she thought she could win. Mm-hmm. So that seems like a shot across the bow at a few programs as well, because her name has come up a lot.
Yes, it has come up a lot. I will say this. Last year, after her national championship win, I actually did interview her. She was very raw, and we had like a 15-minute interview just about becoming a national champion and just the trials she went through with Glenville State and just how much she does love that program. I mean, like she said, she spent 7 years there, so she definitely is leaving a legacy there. But I did ask her about certain jobs last year, and she just kind of smiled and was like, my time in Glenville's not up yet, just doesn't feel right to leave yet, all this stuff. So I guess now it felt right to leave. And, the fit here was just so good. And she talked a lot about her family and her dad and just how much this position would mean to her dad. And she just knows, he's up there smiling. So I think it was just the right move. It just probably made the most sense for a number of reasons.
Cassidy Woods with us, WOWK. She's going to be doing her sportscast here at the Cam Henderson Center. The hire today of Kim Stevens, the introductory presser earlier today. So now that she's here, now that she has the program, the players are excited until we get to practice, I'm sure.
Yeah, I will say she is a very intense coach. You can tell that just from interviewing her. But, I mean, even watching her in those big moments on those national stages and the way she handles herself is so impressive. But she is very intense. And, hopefully these girls or these female athletes will be able to step up and, live up to those expectations, because she even just told us, I mean, her standards are up here. When the girls reach those, she's going to push them higher. And that's just how her mindset is. So hopefully these athletes can keep up with that. And I think they will. I mean, the nice thing is we do have a couple girls on this roster that are, also born and raised in the state. And, I think she's going to really be able, the recruiting is going to be very strong, especially here in the state. I mean, why would you not want to come play for her?
We don't have eligibility.
I know.
None of us have eligibility. So, yeah, hopefully she's able to attract the level of athlete she needs. It's a big step up. Not only is she taking on a Marshall women's program that it has potential, but it hasn't reached the potential where it wants to be. And she's coming from a championship level program at the Division II level. That's still a big jump from Division II to Division I.
Right.
Does she seem phased at all? And she seemed like she wants the challenge, but when she said she feels like she can win, did you feel any vibe from her that, okay, this is a pretty big deal, or like, no, I'm going to be just fine?
I think what makes it so different is it's not just that she's going from a Division II program to a Division I program. She's coming from a Division II program that she built up for 7 years to go and compete at the top level in that division. She went on the national stage. She competed at the highest level possible in that division. So it's not like, she's leaving some mediocre program in D2 to come here to a D1 level, and there's going to be a huge learning curve. There's still going to be certain things, of course, that she's going to have to figure out because Division I is different. But she beat D2. She was at the top of D2. So I don't really think it's going to be so much of a learning curve. It's not going to be as exponential as we're expecting, I don't think. But I'm just excited to see her, get her bearings here and, start meeting the community, meeting the people. It is day one, and right now she said she just needs to find a synonym for excited, because that's all she keeps saying is that she's excited. But she's excited.
Did anyone ask her how the process went? Because social media blew up. If you were listening to me, the moment that Tony Kemper left,
right,
I was saying her name.
Yeah.
It came out of my mouth. It came out of everyone's mouth.
Everybody's mouth.
And I'm sure that makes it a little bit more difficult if you're trying to hire a coach on the DL, try to get it done when everyone's pointing it out. Oh, by the way, it's this one.
Spears said the moment that job became open, he had over 100 text messages saying Kim Stevens, hire Kim Stevens. It was all over social media. And he was like, so it was almost like Herd Nation already hired her before we got a chance to. So that's also definitely what went into it is, he wanted everybody to be happy and okay with the decision, obviously. And, after talking to her there, she's thrown up the peace sign as she walks out.
She's like, I'm out, peace.
She is such a legend already. We already know this. But, yeah, I mean, he was like, to be able to hire somebody. And honestly, he said they went out for a dinner. And he asked her, why would you want to come coach at Marshall? And she just brought up her dad and said it would be my dad's dream job. I want to carry on the Stevens name, here in the state. And Spears said that was enough to seal it for me. I mean, I already knew she was this great person. I already knew, our community wanted it. Herd Nation wanted it. I already knew all of this. But to meet her and see how authentic she is and the family she comes from sealed it for me.
We need to get an invite to that dinner.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that one.
Yeah, at least, someone needs to trail Spears from now on.
Yeah.
So he's going here.
Right?
Yeah, let's see.
I need the intel.
Yeah, we need to put air tags on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's against the law, obviously.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing that, but
share his current location.
Yeah, hack his phone. I don't know, especially when events like this happen. So you've got a 6 o'clock coming up.
Yes, sir.
And you'll have more than just this event.
Yeah.
You were over at football practice, weren't you?
Yeah, you guys, spring football practice, baby. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Just hearing those noises again, standing out in the sun on the turf, ain't nothing like it.
We'll be looking for that tonight. That's at 6 and 11.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll try to bring the show out more where you're at.
That would be fun.
Okay, I'll just follow you around. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of following Spears around, follow me around.
Okay, I'll follow you around. Cassidy Wood joining us, Channel 13 Sports, coming up 6 and 11. I'll talk to you soon. We're going to take a quick time out, and when we continue, maybe Kim will walk her way over here. If not, we're going to hear from Coach Huff. Either way, we've got a coach coming up when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Paul Swann, your host, high above the Cam Henderson Center. Earlier today, we were introduced to Kim Stevens, the latest coach of the Marshall women's basketball squad. I was hoping we could get her up here. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. But I did promise you a coach, and I do have a coach to give to you, and that is Charles Huff, Marshall's football coach. Earlier today, it was the introductory press conference of the new spring season. Because phase 1 is over. The conditioning phase is over. It is now phase 2. And when I talked to Coach earlier, along with the other members of the media, he talked about what phase 2 is all about.
Coming out of phase 1, our winter conditioning program went well. BA and his staff did a phenomenal job. You'll get a chance to see some of the heights and weights and some body changes and a lot of growth. Really take a look at the younger guys that was in that mix. Some of the freshmen we signed last year have done a really good job of changing their bodies and more athletic, more explosive. So excited to see them actually play football now. Going into phase 2, new season, new team, new identity. I told one of the reporters in one of the interviews, we'll be a totally different team this year. I think it's going to be a good different, but we'll be different. Just what we have pieces-wise coming back, the pieces we lost.
He talked about last year's team. He was very happy with last year's team, but as he always says, that was last year's team, and this is this year's team, and he addressed that.
Last year's team did a phenomenal job, and they created their own identity, and they did a lot of successful things. But this is a new team. Only the experiences carry over, none of the plays, none of the production. So we got to start from scratch. But I think our foundation is built. I think the expectation of how we prepare is laid. I think our leadership has gone through the ups and downs. You talk about when we first got here and kind of dealing with COVID and coaching changes and new landscape, transitioning into the new conference. There's a lot of positive that we can learn from. But also we got to know that team last year is gone, and we've got to create our own identity. We've got to create our own standards. We've got to create our own excitement. Each player's got to have the right accountability, the right competitive character, the right competitive nature in order to go out and improve this spring. That's the goal. The only goal this spring is to create improvement across the board. At every position, every phase of the program, we have to improve. And that way we can take steps into phase 3, which will be the summer.
So improve. He echoed that as he spoke throughout the time we had with him. But he also illustrated a point to us that it's a new year. So now that it's a new year, they're still, as a program, trying to close the gap, and he explained that.
We're still working to close the gap. I don't think by any means we're there. I think every time you get a chance to start over, that's the beauty about college football. You get a chance to start from scratch. Although some players who played are back, it's a new year for them. So they have new expectations. They have new goals, new aspirations. So every year you get to start over. And we got a chance to see in this conference. This conference is extremely competitive top to bottom. And in order to compete in the fall, we got to be able to improve in the spring. And that's our goal.
Improve in the spring. And I'm surprised he didn't say that this football conference was still real. That was his phrase last year. Now, we're going to talk about this more throughout the weeks to come, including tomorrow. But new staff, you have some of the old coming back, you have some of the new coming back. And Coach talked about some of that, in not specific hires, at least in this cut, but he did talk about bringing in some new people and what that means.
So we got a lot of new staff members. I think when you have success, it gives everyone in the organization the opportunity to create value for themselves, and that's what I want. You look at the staff members that have left here over the last couple of years, they've gone on to bigger and better jobs. Just like we tell our players, if you do a really good job here, create value for yourself, opportunities will come, whether that is coaches getting opportunities to go to other places, players getting an opportunity to play at another level, players getting an opportunity to graduate and go on to successful life. That's the goal for me, is that every player, every person involved in this organization is more successful in life because of them being involved in our organization and the things they learn and how we do things. And I think you see that now. It's a little tedious for the head coach to do 1,000 Zoom interviews for every physician from the top down, but that's part of it.
And he also added, when speaking with us about some of the hires, it wasn't a sense of trying to go out and get someone just like they lost or that moved on. It was about, here's an opportunity to elevate the position. Not that that's a slight on the person that left the position. It's more of, here's an opportunity. I'm going to try to bring someone in that can elevate what we're doing.
We went out and found the best coaches, administrators, staff members in the country that fit Marshall. And I think, again, no different than a player, whenever a player moves forward, you want to replace them with another player. I think the beauty of today's world is you get an opportunity to use this platform, and people want to come here. People are excited about coming to Marshall. People are excited about being a part of this program and this community. The head coach's job is the acquisition of personnel on and off the field. So selecting the right people to be in this organization is key. Once they get here, teaching them how we do things and allowing their experiences to add value to our program. And that's what we're working towards this summer.
Marshall football coach Charles Huff earlier today. We're going to hear more from Coach throughout the week. but he was asked the question, you heard him talk a little bit about it earlier. He was asked the question, what are some of the priorities for spring ball? And he echoed what he said. It's improvement. It's getting better.
Yeah, I think, again, it's overall improvement, and it's not someone going from, A to Z. It's how far can we get them? If we can get them from A to C, great. If we can get them from A to X, great. If everyone in the program improves, I think we'll have a chance to be really good. I don't really put goals on, hey, this guy's got to be able to do X, Y, and Z, or this guy's got to be able to, master the scheme at this level. I think we're looking for improvement, and then we can build upon that. From a coaching standpoint, is understanding all aspects of the systems, offense, defense, special teams, understanding how we do things, how do we practice, how do we get better, how do we watch film, how do we meet, how do we go to class, getting a better understanding of that, and then mastering the fundamentals and techniques, right? So we had a lot of younger guys who some played and some were kind of right on the edge of playing. Understanding the fundamentals and techniques at their position to become better players. So now BA's done a really good job of getting them stronger. Now how do they take that strength and apply it to football? So that's kind of what we look forward to. There's not really a, hey, if we do this, then we've had a successful spring, or if we don't do this, we didn't. It's overall improvement from day 1 all the way to day 15. And I think that just lays the foundation for the summer, and hopefully between now and the first game, we've made enough strides and improvement to be competitive, and that's the goal.
That's Marshall football coach Charles Huff. We're going to hear more from him throughout the week. We'll hear from some of his assistants as well. So plenty of football coverage this week from Marshall football. We hope to, in the next few days, welcome to the program for her first visit, Kim Stevens, just introduced here earlier today at the Cam Henderson Center as the next women's basketball coach of Marshall University. So she'll be joining us here on the program in the next couple of days as she will try to get acclimated to Huntington, get acclimated to the Marshall program, and start trying to put the program together to compete in the Sun Belt. And, of course, every coach's goal is to win a championship. The first goal, I'm sure, is to win the Sun Belt Championship, get into the NCAA tournament, and then take the team as far as possible. As we've seen with the men's tournament, anything is possible right now. We have FAU in the men's Final Four. So anything is possible, and that seems to be the goal right now. At least that's what we're hearing from all parties involved. A very special thanks to Jason Toy back in the studio. Jason taking good care of us today. Always appreciate his help. He definitely is one of my best friends, not only professionally but in life. I appreciate him helping me out today to make this possible. We are here at the Cam Henderson Center one final time, signing off. Next time we're here, unless there's a presser or two, next time we're here, it'll probably be basketball season. But we'll be back tomorrow on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Until then, don't forget, if you missed any part of today's program, we will have it for you later on this evening on our podcast. You can get that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Once again, thanks for listening to The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Good night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Jarrett Lewis. Kanawha County Senator Mike Stewart waiting on the governor to sign a bill that changes vehicle inspection requirements.